I'm Marcus Plateau and this is my presentation on Paul Smith. So to start with the brand values. Brand values: classic with a twist, traditional British heritage brand with an eccentric finish. Paul Smith's personality is mirrored in his clothing and products. And there's a quote: "My company motto is never assume." So Paul Smith's constantly changing to adapt to the contemporary fashion landscape and still has the iconic Paul Smith colourful touch that you can spot a mile away, as you can see in this picture here. So here's a timeline of the Paul Smith brand. So in 1993, Paul Smith added women's wear to his brands. 1976, he showed his first official collection at Men's Fashion Week in Paris. This is where he became established as a well-recognised designer. In 1994, he received a CB for his services to the British fashion industry, and in 2000 became the first UK fashion designer to receive a knighthood. In 2002, he worked at the FA Cup and Umbro on a range of accessories for the England football team. This showed Paul Smith's less formal designs. In 2003, Paul Smith won the Menswear Designer of the Year award and Women's Contemporary Designer of the Year at the British Fashion Awards. In 2007, the designer launched the Diffusion line, Paul by Paul Smith. And Paul Smith now has 15 shops and concessions in the UK and 200 plus shops worldwide in markets including Japan, Paris, Milan, New York and Hong Kong. So, Paul Smith's target consumer, aged between 25 and 50, traditional British values, eccentric personalities and style, majority male, secure families and good jobs, working in cities such as London, Manchester, Amsterdam, Paris, well-educated bourgeoisies, interest in art, culture, fashion and cycling. So here's a brand positioning map of where Paul Smith is. So Paul Smith's here, so kind of around the Couples, Kenzo, for being quite high quality luxury designer at a medium to high price range. So Paul Smith data. So Paul Smith revenue is currently £250 million. Wholesales to franchise partners, department stores and selected multi-brand shops and online retailers worldwide increased by 4.8% to £79.9 million. E-commerce sales grew by 12% in 2020. Operating profit at British brand Paul Smith increased by 72% to £5.7 million for the year to 30th of June 2009, despite challenging market. And now to SWOT of the Paul Smith brand. So strengths: great marketing in Asian countries including Japan and China through launching with Alibaba.com. British heritage brand with strong USP. Sir Paul Smith as an ambassador. They keep expanding and opening stores every year. Weaknesses: not a huge social media presence, 489k followers on Instagram. Not very popular amongst women. Price range too close to the company's sublines, and the amount of sublines kind of watered down the brand's USP. Opportunities: developing new communication and promotional channels, increasing market share in developing countries, increasing fashionability to compete with new entrants and attract new consumers. And the threats: current target consumer is quite old and not adaptable to change, difficulty communicating to a young Gen Z audience, and fluctuation in economy due to Brexit and COVID. So here's some recent news stories. So Paul Smith's launch with Alibaba, that was the 28th of June, Fashion United. Paul Smith talking about how the pandemic has affected latest collections, so him using digital fashion shows to showcase his new products. British brands will die after the British trade deal, that was in the Financial Times. And then the best pies around town, it shows there's an article with Niall from One Direction and Sir Ian McKellen wearing Paul Smith. Positive PR. So the Evening Standard did an article with featuring Paul Smith swim shorts in there in 2020. There's also an article about Paul Smith stopping using kangaroo leather in his products. And then an article announcing that Paul Smith has been enjoying surge in sales during the 50th anniversary of his brand. So here's some negative PR. Sandal wearers were used by famed British designers attempts to sell traditional Peshwari chapel-style shoes for the distinctly untraditional sum of £300. So there's an article in The Independent in 2014, basically where Paul Smith ripped off a Peshwari sandal and called it the Robert sandal, and he got in trouble for cultural appropriation, but it was quickly fixed and the brand's reputation was maintained. So events have affected communication. The COVID pandemic has allowed Paul Smith to explore virtual fashion shows, so that allows him to showcase new collections to bigger audiences, reduce his carbon footprint and see items in more detail. Also, the Black Lives Matter movement. All brands and people in 2021 must actively be fighting racism and all forms of prejudice. This has affected Paul Smith communication. It's now a bigger emphasis on diversity and inclusivity within the brand. Example of this is the shoot by Christina Ebenezer for the 50th anniversary. PR and communication strategy. Paul Smith has changed the way he markets and styles his famous tailored suits. Suits are great, but you have to show them in a different way now, as a quote from Paul Smith. A tailored jacket with a casual trouser, fashionable tailoring, and I call it. So basically he's had to change how he's styling his shoots for runways or lookbooks. Also, millennial shoppers are increasingly drawn to labels of unique signature and USP. So if they're wearing an expensive item of clothing, they want people to be able to tell that it's from that designer brand. Paul Smith also has different stories where they're releasing clothing or items with emotive meanings behind them, such as hashtag PS Happy, Red Ear Paul Smith. Paul Smith appears in publications such as GQ, The Telegraph, ID and Vogue. PS by Paul Smith's also a subline offering youthful ready-to-wear pieces at a more accessible price. So getting consumers in at an earlier age to the Paul Smith brand by offering cheaper products. Product life cycle. So Paul Smith started off making suits, women's wear, and then accessories, fragrances, cycling, sportswear, lifestyle, and then more contemporary fashion as he kind of adapts to the changes within the industry. Has Paul Smith maintained and enhanced their corporate image? The COVID pandemic caused a huge amount of strain on Paul Smith as a group. Turnover for the year actually fell by 18% to 177 million in 2021. Working to get back to positive growth trend enjoyed. So he basically, after that, he was working back to get to the positive growth that he had before the COVID virus. By Paul Smith changing the way they market and style their suits, they have managed to increase orders of suits for 2019-2020 by 10%. That was in Fashion United. And women's wear sales are up 20%, and he's now opening new stores in Germany, Denmark, South Korea, South Africa, and in the UK. In 2018, Paul Smith opened a string of stores, including stores in the UK, Germany, Hong Kong, Luxembourg, and this led to a 12% increase in retail sales and wholesales to franchise partners, department stores, and selected multi and brand retailers, and that they grew by 2.8% to 76.2 million. So, onto my strategies. So my first strategy is to create a competition on Instagram aimed at young British creatives. Involved in music, film, art and poetry, etc. The objective is to widen the consumer base, reach a new younger demographic, Gen Z, create a community online via social media, make Paul Smith a brand that champions art and culture. The rationale behind this is to boost followers on Instagram by 10% in 1 month from 489k to 537k. Improve engagement on Instagram, post increase likes by 50% to 4k, and boost comments by 250% to 1,250 in the first month. Expand consumer base and create a sense of community amongst the Gen Z consumer. Create media coverage through a live event and get featured in widespread newspapers, etc. My next strategy is to use gamification to create a Paul Smith app. So basically to make an app for cycling so you can compete with friends and track your progress. Advertise the app in cycling gear in GQ, as GQ has 60% male readers, 83% of which have a higher than average income, and 39% are 25 to 34 years old. So it's the perfect demographic for like a cycling campaign. And the aim behind this is to get people cycling, offer discounts to the Paul Smith brand, and the objective to increase sales of Paul Smith cycling, sportswear and lifestyle apparel, use technology to engage consumers, bring fans of cycling over to the Paul Smith brand. The rationale to make Paul Smith popular as a leisure and sportswear brand, reach a wider audience, generate media attention and commerciality, increase sales of cycling attire and accessories by 25% in the first 2 months. My third strategy is to make Paul Smith appeal to trendy female audience, help change perceptions of the Paul Smith brand as being a male-dominated brand. So I believe it's quite a male-dominated brand at the moment, so looking to change that with kind of like a younger female audience. Use female brand ambassadors such as Pink Pantheress. Her songs became huge on TikTok, and 70% of 13 to 90-year-old females use TikTok, so there's huge potential there to use her as an ambassador. And then Little Sims, with 3.3 million monthly listeners on Spotify, and obviously star of UK-based TV show, Netflix show Top Boy. So to feature them both in an online Instagram campaign with Days, with a 53.2% female reader rate. So it's appealing to Gen Z on the social media level, and Days to like a female reader level to kind of be popular with a young female demographic. Make Paul Smith more... The rationale is to make Paul Smith more inclusive as a brand by focusing on a women's only driven PR campaign, wider consumer base, give Paul Smith more credibility amongst women, and boost sales of women's wear by 30% in the first 2 months. And my final idea, which I'm going to be going with, is to bring Paul Smith to a Gen Z audience, build on the brand's strengths of being British, inspiring the next generation to wear Paul Smith, and give Paul Smith a digital rebirth. So the strategy behind this is advertising campaigns solely on social media, to create a set of 3 short films created by Leon Ward, set in Manchester, Nottingham, London and Bristol, to be released on YouTube. So Leon Ward is a filmmaker. She's previously worked with Paul Smith before on various campaigns. Use selection of micro and macro influencers on Instagram such as Magnus, Ronning, Danny Lomas and Unnamed Vlogs. Create a monthly podcast hosted by Paul Smith himself, speaking to young British creators, released on Spotify. With the rationale for this campaign, so marketing chart samples showed that 68% of Gen Z use Spotify for at least 1 hour a day, with 1 in 5 using it for 5+ hours daily. Instagram SEO improved traffic to the website through Instagram by 25% in the first month, and improved subscribers on YouTube from 9k to 10k to 100k, and monetized the content. So if you look at the Paul Smith brand currently, their numbers on YouTube are like really bad for how big of a brand it is. So there's a massive chance to make content, build views and monetize that. Then here's my press release for the launch and my references here. Thank you.